ladies and gentlemen. A lot of thoughts have surfaced after bringing up the Josephine tiara, and some of the history about that says basically that the diamonds are related to Josephine, and that she never really wore the tiara. But that's beyond what I'm trying to do here. Is there are significant things about this tiara that have come back to me, and I'm going to share that with you. I've also noticed that after sharing with you that the supports for these large diamonds that are suspended above the valleys of these arches, they've been cleaned. They used to be black up near the where they were fused, the cups that hold those diamonds, and then that copper colored support down to the valley where it's attached. It was dark down there and it was dark up above. I think I remember trying to clean that off. But anyway, the result is today they're all clean. There is no black that I can see anywhere on it, but it was black when I had it. I'm going to share with you, show some images that I've pulled off the line, and show you what to look at in particular, where the damage is. There is extensive damage here. I think I put more damage on this than anything that I had in my hands. And the other thing I forgot about with the Josephine tiara, how difficult it was to handle, and I had forgotten about all these suspended jewels on this, and that won't, diamonds. When you say diamonds, it puts a terrific value on something based on the size of the diamond. And in those days, it didn't mean that much. It's because they were glass to us. If we'd have believed all this stuff was real at the time, I'd have been in an insane asylum, and I wouldn't be making this a video because they'd have never let me out. Who knows? Maybe that's where I'll end up anyway. But it's all trying to prove the fact that I had these things in my hand, and I'm going to present some information and show some images to you to help establish the fact that I had this in my hand. And the Josephine's tiara, as it's been labeled, is now in Houston, and it's credited to the McFerrin family that has put this on permanent display. And the other thing I want to mention is the McFerrin family has several pieces of Faberge that look awful familiar, and some of it, I'll give you some secrets about it that's not exposed in the images. So it's this is getting better as we're going along to help establish my provenance within the history of these pieces. So let me pull up some of these images, and then we'll get on with this next video. What I want to bring to your attention is, as you look at this suspended diamonds here, let's see, alright, these suspended jewels. There's a little leafy decoration that's where it connects onto to this suspended large jewel. I started plucking these leafy things off years ago, and very few, it looked like, survived. In fact, as soon as the segment ends here, so collectively, what I wanted to say is, based on each little leaf, and for all those little leaves, there's a significant amount of damage that I have put on this tiara. What I remember about this is not the egg, but that little thing that's standing up next to it. The secret about this is it's damaged on the inside. There's a mirror broke and the compact area is crushed. I think got stepped on. the thing about this fan is half of the support is missing because it was broken. I'll tell you more about it. I believe this is one of the pictures we had, quite ornate, but it's just a thought. I think I really remember this too. This is one of those personal jewelry items. This thing, this pendant, I don't remember much about it, but it was included in this fund. This is an anniversary or a wedding clock for Nicholas and Alexandra. I don't remember this very much either, but this next piece, I think I may have damaged that on the one side that you can't see. We had several pieces that were similar to this. Here's a portrait of Alexandra. This is a Faberge frame. Again, you can see that it is Faberge. We had this clock, there's no doubt in my mind. It's not very big. I don't think it's more than 12 inches tall. This egg is vaguely familiar, but it's starting to come on too. But here comes the next thing. Wait till you see this. I found this seal, excuse me, in the garage, and I took it into the house. Of all the things that I remember about this whole recollection of all this Romanov stuff, the treasures, Thutmose, and one of these points I'll get back on to the Troy stuff, but there's very little out there on that that's ever been recovered or found. And I have some suspicions on that. But what I wanted to say about this little seal here, I found that out in the garage. And I remembered the Thutmose III vase, the blue one with the yellow other colors in there. But this little seal, I fell in love with this thing as soon as I found it. This was mine. I found it, it's mine. I'm keeping it. And I took it into the house, and my grandmother saw me coming in with it, and she stopped me, and she wanted to see it. And of course, at that point, she said, "You can't have this. It's going back in the garage." Well, I'm not afraid to admit this, but I think I bawled my eyes out for the next 4 hours, if it wasn't longer than that. That's how much that little thing meant to me. I saw another picture of this months ago in a different angle, and I remembered that. It went through an auction here, I believe, in the last 10 years. Or maybe it was one similar to that. But I remember a seal, and man, that was in this stuff, and it was with the other Faberge. There was a lot of pieces that I've seen that were Faberge images, these little figurines, that we had. There was a seal, and I'm thinking it's this one that caused me to just bawl my eyes out, but that's where we're at right now. And then getting back to some of these pieces, now getting back to that clock, I found somewhere when I first saw this clock and it finally hit me that we had it, this was a clock that was given to Nicholas II and Alexandra for their wedding. There was another piece, maybe it was the clock that I saw in that segment months ago, but yeah, we had both those pieces. That clock's not very big. I am glad that the significant pieces weren't damaged. And unfortunately, I don't know how that compact got broke, but it did. On the inside, I believe the mirror is broken, if it's even still in there. And an area, I guess you would say, where powder would be, and who knows how long compacts in those little cake areas of powder have been out there. But that was empty when we first got it, but I think it got stepped on. It's kind of crushed in there. That's the way I remember that. There was only one like that. That's it. And then the fan. That fan, as I remember it, I broke the one side, the support. And when I broke it, I don't think it was on purpose. You know, I did other damage on purpose, but this one, somehow it broke. Maybe it was weak in an area, and then it ended up breaking off. Well, I threw that away, and there was a an oval metal trash can in the garage. I can't even remember how that trash can even ended up in there, because it was hardly ever in there before that I remember. But I threw this fan away in that garbage can, and somehow I had mentioned to my grandmother. I guess I'm kind of realizing right now that we were allowed to somewhat go through this stuff, I guess, now that I think about it. Maybe. But when she found out that I threw this fan away in that little garbage can, well, she went back out in the garage and she got it out of that little garbage can and put it back into the collection of things that were there. But yeah, that's why you can't see that other support, that other half of that fan, because it was broke, and it didn't break all the way down on the swivel point. It was like halfway, I believe, or somewhere in between the swivel and the whole piece. And that's why you can't see that, is because it got broke. Now let's see what we've got here. One more point of observation that about the Josephine's tiara is where those little leafy parts have been removed. Some look like they're platinum. The colors, it seems to be white, gold, platinum, whatever. But there seems to be some real dark leafy pieces there, and it kind of comes back to me, were these pieces layered, these leaves? Was there a a platinum layer on top of a hard layer? Because gold is much softer than all metals, so was it attached to a harder metal underneath? It kind of leads me to believe that, because there's too many dark pieces there that, and then but basically what I remember taking off the silver colored pieces. But I see so many dark pieces there, it kind of leads me to believe that it's layered. I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if it sticks. This was a significant find, finding this ring, and then we'll show you the top. I don't remember the top hardly at all, but this story is quite interesting, and it carries me quite a distance in this investigation of mine. I was in eBay, and I put in Faberge, and I can't remember what else I was looking for. Maybe it was ring, Faberge jewelry. But all of a sudden, I see this ring being offered, and doesn't hit me just like everything else immediately. But the fellow that was offering it, let's call him Steve. He says that it's Faberge. He's got the original box that it came into, and it said Faberge in the Russian print. Nice old box. And he says it came from Nicholas II. And well, how is he going to prove that? So anyway, I'm looking at this, and I capture it, I stick it on my computer, and I hold on to it, and then all of a sudden things start growing, like planting seeds. What is significant about this is I used to have nightmares about this ring. When I first found this ring, it was collectively with all the other family jewels that were in a particular container, and it was about the same size container that had all the family photographs in there. This had this family jewelry, which were rings and bracelets and stuff like that. I'd taken this out, and I think I put it on my finger and that, and I noticed that on the back side of this ring there was this glue-like substance, and again it was a light blue or gray. And I thought, what is this doing on there? And I got curious as what is hiding underneath there. Why did they put this on there? I didn't understand at the time that the reason why it was on there was to make the ring more comfortable. But I spent over an hour digging this glue off, and I didn't want to damage the ring. I used a few little implements, little tools, and I think I finally ended up with a small screwdriver of some sort. And one reason why I really remember this, I worked on this for an hour or so, and I put, if you'll notice in the back side of the ring, if you go back, take a look at that photograph, I put a gouge in that. And I wasn't, I did a lot of damage, a lot of other things. I didn't want to put any damage on this. I did the best I could not to just massacre this ring. And when I put that one gouge in there, I had worked so long not to put a gouge in there, and then all of a sudden I did, and there it was. So, I ended up having nightmares about this years later. But let's get back on track here. So the guy that's offering this ring, Steve, let's call him, the way he had put his let's call it the handle in eBay, I decided to put that out there in a search engine. Guess what I found out? Steve, I found all kinds of stuff about Steve. Steve, I believe, was from like Belarus. He went to a university there. I think that's a Russian satellite country, or was years ago. He spent 2 or 3 years there, and his expertise was chirogenic. Steve was had made some comments in Wikipedia about the science of cryogenics. And the way he put his entries in there, he didn't follow the rules. And after about the third time, and over several weeks or months that he had thrown this, his expertise in there, Wiki says you're no longer allowed to post any more comments. And his comments were about the science of cryogenics, and whoever originally had placed that the article in there and wrote about it, or collectively how they wrote about it, he had his own idea, and it was he was stating that his knowledge and what he believed about cryogenics was different than what had been posted. So anyway, then I find out Steve worked for a cryogenics business, if you want to call it that, in Scottsdale. And what's significant about Scottsdale is this whole investigation, this thing trying to establish my connection with these things, always leads back to Scottsdale. So Steve had worked in this cryogenics company in Scottsdale, and was out of work by the time I had caught on to this. But I found him listed at one point in this cryogenics company as one of the employees, but at this point he was not there as I trailed into this information. The other important thing is that another item that he had offered, and he offered a few items, was he had uncirculated Nicholas II coins, very similar to our American silver dollars. And I thought, isn't that something? He has a ring I had. He has Nicholas II silver dollars. I don't remember ever seeing any silver dollars. Of course, there was some containers that we never got into because they got buried. We had so many containers. We were little kids. We couldn't move those big heavy things to get to the other ones. But I just thought I'd throw that out there too. I had made this video once before and I had a lot to say about Steve. But I'll take a look at this and see what we've covered so far. This is the mosaic egg, and we'll go over that. According to the information that is out there, it is now owned by the Queen of England. And her provenance is that she's had this since 1953, that she inherited it from her family. Now, I'm not going to take on the Queen, so I'm going to use that as establishing a point of time. In 1953, I was 5 years old. I was born in November, so 53 would put a good solid 5 years on there of age. So did we get these eggs in 53, where I'm thinking it's 55? This is something that's been rattling around my head for some time through this investigation. But the interesting thing about the mosaic egg is I don't think we ever got it open. I don't even know if it does open. But we have this egg. Not sure how she got it, but nevertheless, right, I'm too smart to take on the Queen right now. And so we'll just leave it at that. There's some other things I want to get to right now. Wait till you see this. This is the constellation egg. Look at the bottom of the one cracked piece there. I have found information about the constellation egg that I can only label as being romanticized. I know more about this egg than collectively than what has been written. That what I wanted to draw to your attention is that very bottom of the piece that was on the right. I did that. I chipped that off. It was one of the last pieces I think I ever damaged. Well, I guess time will tell whether I remember anything else. But I can remember how I even did that. But nevertheless, it is damaged. But I think I only wanted to put one chip in there, and I ended up that there are at least two. I saw other photographs of the damage on this. But here is what I know about that, the constellation egg. Now, what I've read is it is the last egg that was made for the Romanov, Nicholas II family. And said that somehow the romanticized versions is that it never left Russia, that it somehow arrived at a train station or something like that. I don't care who wrote that. We had this. And it says it never left. Well, if it never left, it would have probably never gotten broken. But anyway, when I found this this egg, it was in a container inside a container. And I've read that it was supposed to be a clock, and it was significant to Nicholas's son, and the way the stars were going to be placed on this orb. What I wanted to say was, there was a clock. We had the clock. It is correct that it's set down inside. It was actually a silver-faced clock, not a shiny silver, but say type of a satin. There were no numbers on the clock. It fit right down inside the base part of the egg. and I think the Saturn ring that was on there that I think is missing today, we had that, and that's where your numbers were. I remember placing that ring on there several times, trying to figure out how it was supposed to fit because it was so loose. It didn't have a lock in to it. It just slipped over. But what I wanted to say is, additionally, is there were small envelopes that had small jewels in there. Different colored little jewels. Now the envelopes were like jeweler's envelopes if they had diamonds in them or something. They were just small envelopes, 2 or 3 inches. They were kind of a heavy paper. They were actually like a grayish white color, and they weren't sealed as I remember, but they were folded over. Nothing was coming out. And the way that they were placed in there, I'm thinking that the constellation egg was in a wooden box that had these compartments where the envelopes were placed in, almost like a secretary. And again, it had the clock in there at the time, and it had the Saturn ring that I read that there are pictures of the original design. I'm sure I have it somewhere. Maybe I'll throw it out there, but. We had this. I put a chip in it, and I believe that after I put the first one in, that that the second piece fell out, and I think that shocked me there. I didn't want to put that much damage. I just want to put enough damage that I could chip it and then recognize it down the road. Well, then again, here we are. I'm leaving a trail, unfortunately. If it never left Russia, it would have probably never been damaged, and we wouldn't be here today talking about it. But, yeah, we had this. It was nice. I liked it. They said it never got delivered to the Romanovs, but somehow, again, I believe the Germans found it, and it got put together with all the other eggs that we had, and it was complete. With the complete kit to assemble it was there, but again, it was never finished, but all the parts were there when we had it initially. Here's a couple more shots of the constellation egg as it is today, I believe. This next shot coming up, I want you to see how dirty that base is. That base, I don't remember it being that dirty, but here comes the original illustration on what the idea was behind it and the Saturn ring. As I remember, the Saturn ring was actually larger than that illustration. It was a little wider and it was thicker. But we're wrapping up on, going to wrap this up. We're coming up on 30 minutes here, and I don't want to do any more than 30 minutes. Well, thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. I have a lot more to go. So see you next time. Thanks.